All right, y'all. Welcome to this portion of the channel called News and Reviews, where I give my faves and my dislikes on the topics that are currently going on. We got 3 things on our roster today. I'm going to jump right into Megan Thee Stallion. This video won't be too long. However, we see Megan Thee Stallion in a space where I feel like she is not only happy but comfortable. As we all know, she is an anime fan. So to see her link up with anime artists, to see her presenting awards at the Anime Awards show, Crunchyroll, for a word I cannot pronounce, so please forgive me. We also see her doing different food reviews and just touring different places and experiencing things in their culture as well. We also see her drink a shot of liquor out of a snake-filled bottle. And I think that is alluding to the next era of her artistry, as we seen Cobra drop late last year. I think that it's honestly just a little Easter egg that a lot of people are going to run over. Not only that we see that on our TikTok, but we've seen different news outlets report it as well. So I'm like, okay, definitely this is probably a press thing. This is probably something that's gaining traction, right? For something that's supposed to be dropped in the summer, which I'm super excited for. However, all news is not good news. We're going to jump into the dog that got hit and now he's hollering, right? We seen Drake, meanwhile, post and delete a photo of Free Tory Lanez. I, to this day, do not understand why this court case continues to follow her. I understood that she poked jabs at a lot of people in the industry with her diss track, and we all seen the dog that got hit last month or 2 months ago in regards to that diss track, because it was definitely a cocaine rad response. But jumping back into the Drake situation, I do not know why. I don't know why we're being so aggressive, if that's the right word, towards her, because not only are we dropping like subliminals on the internet, it's been subliminals in the music. You have bought that man out on tour with you, and I think this is all to antagonize her, and I do not understand why. I don't understand why a group of men are antagonizing a woman to this degree. Like, I see, even though this is not appropriate, I see an event that maybe y'all all ganging up on one other nigga, but for this to be a woman is something weird. It's weird. And this is not the first time we've seen Drake be this type of way towards women, right? It's never nothing physical to our knowledge or that hasn't came out yet. God forbid. It's always been like emotional and manipulative abuse. I guess when you get to that level of fame or you get to that level of success, the true you comes out and everybody tolerates it because they're on your payroll. As we see that is happening with Diddy, that is what happened with R. Kelly and many other artists to come. But I just don't, in my mind, understand the continuous shots at her. Especially when she is promoting like positivity, it's like the devil comes out and like rears his head. And I don't like, if we're going to cause this amount of beef, honestly, or we're going to drop subliminals, I wouldn't do it at a time where it's positive. This is probably going to sound a little manipulative, but it would have definitely been during an era where everything was quiet. Like, because then all that positivity that she's doing is just going to overshine you giving real feminine energy. I'm not going to lie. And as someone who is queer, I am telling you, like, girl, that is sissy as shit. I'm not sure why there are so many men, and maybe we will never know the entire story, but there are so many men that is riding for Tory Lanez, and I'm not opposing Tory Lanez. I'm not going to say I've never listened to his music or haven't been a fan of him up into the situation. I'm just saying there's so many men that are opposing Megan that I don't understand why. The court of public opinion, immediately like got on the sides of those men as well. Like I seen more negative comments than like honestly believing a black woman when she said she was hurt. And then they were pulling up different domestic disputes from her previous relationships, proving that she was violent, or they compared his height to her height. Maybe he felt overpowered. I've seen all different type of think pieces for this, and to this day, I don't get it. Like I don't get it. She says she did it, and then if you even look at the court case in hand, it wasn't her pressing charges. It was the state bringing up charges against him. She's a victim. Not only is she's a victim, but she's a witness. So in that investigation, she was going to get drawn in anyways, even if she didn't want to be a part of it, even if she didn't want to say anything, even if they try to put everything to rest, hide it, cover it up. And yet we continue to ridicule Megan, and this continues to follow her. Why? Anyways, I'm going to move on. I want to move on to RHOP, Real Housewives of Potomac. I'm loving the fact that Candace and Wendy are getting a chance to do like a press run to promote the reunion for the show and what they look to see on the next season. I'm also thinking that this may be Ashley's last season. I feel like the bag from RHOP has ran dry for her. I feel like it has never been as lucrative as we thought it was for her. And in order for her to keep the money train going and to keep her marriage and not have everything fall apart in her personal life, she's probably going to have to leave the show. That was probably one of the biggest stipulations and sacrifices she's going to have to make to maintain the comfortable lifestyle that has been awarded to her since she was 26, 25 years old by this ancient ass white man. It's unfortunate because I would have loved to see her stand on her own 2 feet, take this show to the next level, maybe do a spin-off, pursue other ventures, saved her money, and not look for such a crutch coming from that man, because not only do you have daddy issues, but he knows it. He knows that you have daddy issues. He knows about your insecurities. And as a 50-year-old man, he manipulates them at every chance he gets. Now, maybe getting children out of him was your leg up in this situation, but for you to end up at the end of this prenup only obligated to receive child support was not smart. And I get it, because you probably came from a single parent household, and this white savior came to you, and it was also doubled as a relationship, and it was also doubled as the relationship that you didn't have between you and your father. And this is something that you want to stick to, because not only is he taking care of you, but he's probably taking care of your family. But whenever you're placed in binds like that, it always seems like you're like trapped there, right? Whenever he's able to throw $1 at you and you're coming from a place where you didn't have much, it's like, oh, I can't leave, because then this money train stops, then this support stops, then this stability stops, and most importantly, he stops feeding my trauma. I don't like that for her. We also see Giselle losing her seat to Mia. Honestly, I didn't like Giselle for a very long time. I do not like her underhanded nastiness for a really long time. I believe that she was the puppeteer behind her, Monique and Candace's falling out. I believe that she's been a puppet master for a lot of things. I believe that she continuously attacks Wendy, even when Wendy came in there initially trying to align herself with her, because she is the star of the show. Honestly, when they told me that she was the star of the show, or when I found out, I was like, I always thought it was Karen. I always thought Karen Huger was number one. She was always the it girl to me. And Candace was number two. I mean, not Candace. Giselle was number two in my eyes to her. So I was like, oh, come to find out that this is the center, and I get it, because she's the one that's getting the commercials. However, for her to be the star of the show, it's crazy, because Karen has amassed way more success. Like far as the Huger line and the perfume and the 3-wick candles and the home essentials and the spinoff with her family and actually opening up to the world in that regard. And I just think that though Karen is as loopy and lying as she is, and very colorful and decorative is the easiest way to describe her. I think she is a well-rounded woman, and I would love to see her life. I would love to see her daughter be introduced in on the show and seeing that dynamic. I think Karen's storyline can run long. I do not like Giselle. I do not like her storyline. The only thing that I like Giselle for is how we perceive her to be a good mother, right? She did not allow that light skinnedness to affect the way she raised her own women, like the young women that she's raising in her house, her children. And I do like that for her in that regard. But her losing her seat to Mia makes sense. Mia needs to be the next star. Karen has legacy, but Mia is it. Mia is it. And the new girl, I forgot her name, Kiana, I believe they introduced her on the vacation. I love her. Her and Mia together is it. I don't like NECA. Let's move into that next part of the conversation. I NECA looks like she is looking for a spot. She's looking to be a star. She looks like she's the fan of the show. Um, it gave it just it doesn't give authentic. Um, I I don't know what her storyline is. I don't know how she made it to straight being a housewife and not a friend of the show and working her way up. Because we would have been weed her out as a fan base, but it's just she's not it. And then the way her husband like attacked Wendy's husband at that bootleg ass tennis match or when they were doing pickleball or something like that, I didn't fuck with that shit either. I'm just like I don't know what your overt aggression is towards Eddie, but that was crazy as hell. I think they were just looking for a moment and it didn't make good TV at all. Let's move on. When Candace and Wendy were doing the Kelly Clarkson show, the way Andy stood next to them, it looked like he was the overseer to two Negroes on a press tour. To me, it as he sat there smug, just listening to the things that they were saying or how they were trying to articulate themselves, and it on their behalf, I'm extremely proud that they're getting the forefront of this press tour. But on his behalf, that shit looks cynical as hell to me. I hope I'm not the only one that is interpreting that in that way. But it just looked like even when Candace was like, well, as my boss and such and such, I would like to see this. And then he's just like, okay, I didn't like the energy. I see other women that are not POC straight disrespect Andy and he takes it. But then I see the women that are POC have to kiss his ass and like fuel him. And I don't like that. And maybe that's where my opinion of him looking like the overseer comes from. Um, Charisse. Charisse being a fan of the show. I am a Charisse fan. I loved the fact that Charisse and Karen has always been at it. The power dynamic between them two were it. I liked to see Charisse' personality. I think legitimately that she's fun. I think outside of her like having this bougie persona, I think she's like legitimately like a human, if that makes sense, right? And I would like to see more of her background. I would like to see how she interacts with her kids. I would like to see that growth in that capacity. What life looks like now as an ex-wife to that basketball coach in New Jersey. However, I think that her time has ran stale too. I don't think that we actually need her on the show. And I think the only reason why Charisse is even a friend to the show is through Giselle's attempt to have a foil against Karen. Because at this point, what can you say about Karen? Because when you continue to make fun of her business and Every Hue Beauty went out of business and been liquidated, now we can't talk about that. When we consistently talked about her tax issues and how she's jumping from house to house and nobody knows where she's actually staying, but majority of your income prior to the show was based off of spousal support, now we can't no longer talk about it. Like it's just a lot of things with Giselle I just don't like. And Candace makes continuously makes a good point. The ball post continues to move when it comes to the dark skinned women on this cast, unlike a Giselle or Robin. And I feel like the only reason why, again, NECA is aligning herself to them and they're treating her somewhat good is because they can use her as a pawn against the two educated and powerful women. The ones with master degrees, the ones with actual talent, the ones with actual speaking engagements, with actual careers outside of this place. Because as we all know, Wendy is a political commentator and a professor. We also know that she's a business owner now. She has her own talk show. We also know Candace to have a master's degree from Howard in business. And now she is moving on to pursue artistry. What the hell is Giselle and Robin doing besides hats? Or that weak ass line that they're starting with Ashley that only came into this season with one episode, and they were purchasing fabric, and I'm pretty much sure we will never see that shit again. Um, the cast needs to be fun again. The cast needs to be like Katie Ross, like probably not actually her because of how unreliable she is as an employee to Bravo, but we need light-hearted fun like that. Um Moving on to my last topic, I did not know that this video was going to go this long, is Risa Tisa. Risa Tisa has been signed to the CAA Talent Agency, which is one of the largest talent agencies in the country. We've seen her on daytime talk shows. We've seen her on hosting events for Netflix in Austin. I'm hoping that she actually brings a limited series, because I don't see how this can go on for multiple series of Legion and her story on TikTok. And if y'all didn't know and y'all were living underneath a rock, she did a 50-part plus series on how this man basically turned her life upside down. And I do not like the fact that she was doing well until she did too well, and now we're all like riding a hate train on her. I don't get it. She literally just vented her story. She just wanted to get this out here. She just felt compelled to like express what happened to her, and we were fine when we were consuming the product when it wasn't monetized. But now that it's monetized and she's actually profiting off of her trauma, it's a problem. I don't get it. I don't get it. I love it. I love it for her. I would like to see more of her. She's actually giving dating advice as well. Her content has slightly even changed on TikTok of her just like giving her inserts and her opinions and stuff. I like the way she's being seen and heard right now, in my opinion. And for Charlemagne to then call her a big back, and that the fact that she was overweight is what made her gullible to this situation. Like many other creators that I watch on here, and I agree with them. I don't think it has anything to do with her weight. I think if there's a narrative that if you're big, you're supposed to settle, or that you're big, that you're desperate, there's plenty of desperate women. There's what we find as attractive women out here every weekend at the club with no panties on, looking for the next catch. Just because she's not doing that in her capacity, now she's desperate. I mean, but on the other hand, it would be called thirsty. So I don't know. Like I don't understand where that big back comment stemmed from him. We also know that what made his show wildly successful is the controversy that he brings on there. But for you to be married to a black woman and be potentially raising not potentially, raising black children to black women, and then commenting on her weight and saying that she's desperate and that's how she ended up in this situation, it would be extremely karmic if one of your children were victims to the same situation, or if not worse. Like, we have to be careful what we say, because the way karma works, it does not stop at you. Now it affects your kids and your kids' kids. Now you got to see your daughter go through it, or your granddaughter go through it. And as you're trying to navigate that out, you don't even remember what you said 20, 30 years ago. I think that's it. Like, I just personally just didn't find that, like, that shit was distasteful. he has healed over the years as someone who has watched the show. He has gotten better, but at times you do relapse, and that was a relapse. But yeah, that's all for me, guys. Thanks for watching. Tune in again. I'm going to continue to like push forward in this. All right, y'all. Peace.